Now, some farmers have warned that there may be a milk shortage, with supply chain problems meaning some are producing at a loss. Farmers claim that both milk and meat production will be affected over the next 2 years unless they receive more money due to those spiralling production costs. Our North East of England reporter Rachel Sweeney has been to a dairy farm in Northumberland where they've had to diversify to survive.
Farmers say milk has been a loss leader in our supermarkets for too long and that they need and deserve a fair price. At Morwick Farm in Northumberland, they say they'll have to cut back on the amount of milk they produce because they can't absorb the rising production costs. It comes down to fertiliser and feed. The cost to make ammonium nitrate fertiliser is rising because the cost of using natural gas is rising. The pressure on fertiliser suppliers is passed on to farmers. Farmers are predicting a shortage, and one industry expert says the supermarkets know it.
One of the supermarkets has come out with this sniff the bottle test to sniff the produce. Now, this has never happened before. And this particular supermarket, Morrison's, has been a fantastic supporter of British farming, British agriculture. But I think maybe their suppliers are decreasing their milk. I think they're trying to stretch their measures out over a longer period of time. But I think that's the difference, is that I think we're now feeling these supermarkets are perhaps feeling the pinch that their own suppliers are cutting back on the production. So I think this is the reasons why supermarkets are going to maybe have to look at continuing supply and hopefully pay farmers more money to cover the costs.
Well, Morrison says there are no shortages of fresh milk on our farms. They say milk is the third most wasted product in the UK, and removing use-by dates and replacing them with best-before dates aims to help reduce the amount going to waste in our homes. Farms like Morwick have had to diversify to survive. Milk is no longer enough to rely on. These calves are 3 weeks old. It will take 2 years to rear them, and then their milk will be made into ice cream within 24 hours. Dairy farmers say they're working on a 4p per litre loss, and that both milk and meat will be affected over the next 2 years unless they receive more money.
If we go back to 2003 when we opened the ice cream parlour, we felt we needed to do something different just to make, because there wasn't much profit margin at the end of the day. So we introduced the Morwick Dairy ice cream as another avenue of income, and it has worked really well. We need to be over 40p a litre really to make a profit, so we've a little bit left for reinvestment.
Whether it's ice cream parlours, visitor attractions or farm shops, for survival, it seems farmers need to include multi-business income streams within the agricultural sector. Rachel Sweeney, GB News, Northumberland.
Agricultural journalist Bruce Jobson joins us now live. Bruce, thanks for joining us here on The Money. You believe there needs to be a long-term strategy to save the milk industry. Tell us more.
Well, you're absolutely correct, Liam. Thank you very much for inviting me back on your programme. I think, in fairness, GB News is ahead of the game by bringing this to your viewers' attention. And the reason why I say that is last year, 310 dairy farmers quit the industry in Great Britain. Now, 8 years ago, there were 10,000. We're now down to just over 8,000, 8,040. So we're seeing the industry restructure is not the word. It's not even a level playing field. We're actually seeing farming being, for want of a better word, sacrificed on the altar of political and economic expediency. And that's a sad thing to say because, back in the 1980s, the UK was approximately 79 to 80% self-sufficient in food production. 30 years on now, we're down to about 59 to 60%. So we've lost 20% within the space of 30 years. We're relying on importing other food from different countries, and our own economy, our own farming economy, our way of rural life is being decimated. And in fairness to the supermarkets, yes, they do a great job. And in fairness to many other sections of the industry, they do a great job. But farmers are under the cosh, and the costs have gone up astronomically since September. Fertiliser, ammonium nitrate fertiliser was approximately £350 a tonne in September. It's now £700 a tonne. Farmers can't afford to put it on. I've had 3 farmers on the phone this week telling me they're not buying it. Feed prices have gone up over £100 a tonne for cattle. So farmers are going to cut back, and they're not going to be putting fertiliser on their fields. They're not going to be feeding their cows as intensively. And I'll just point out, in December last year, 2021, there was a 4% reduction in milk production on the back of the whole of 2021 being the lowest milk production in 5 years. So what we're seeing is a slow, steady decline. And I predict this year, I wouldn't be surprised if 500 or 600 farmers cease milk production because the figures don't add up.
Bruce Jobson, I'm afraid we've got to leave it there. I do apologise. It's really good to talk to you. We will have you back on to discuss this hugely important issue. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. Thanks for joining me. More On the Money tomorrow.